We are here today bringing you the first game of the World Doom League Summer 2020 quarterfinals. I am Xenaero and I'm joined by my co-host for the two games today, HateDaddy, also known as Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Now we're looking down the barrel of the first quarterfinals in our new setup with 10 teams. Now, the first game today will be Steel Ball Runners and Ties Only Fans. Now, for those who are not familiar with our playoff layout, Ties Only Fans has the home field advantage, which means that their map choice, map 8, will be played for rounds 1 and 2, while Steel Ball Runners will take maps 3 and 4 on map 23. And the fifth round map will be map 08, and it will alternate from that point on if there are more than 5 rounds. Now, it's a best of 5, but that doesn't mean that we end in a tie. If there is a tie, it will continue until there is a victor. Now, I believe Jamie has something to say about both teams.
Yeah. So this is actually a rematch from the final week of the season, where Ties Only Fans actually won that series 2-0. But each game was a tale of two different stories. The first round, we saw the shootout style where Ed and Denzoa were trading flag for flag. It was incredibly close. You saw a little bit of everything in that game that was just out of control. Galactus actually played in place of Dastin, which I thought was interesting. I don't think we're going to be seeing that today, but just wanted to point that out. The second round, however, was a complete stomp, having TOF just win and roll them over right away. 5-0. Ed scored 10 flags in that game. Now, I think it's worth mentioning, Ed has typically been their mid or defender this entire season. I'm not sure why they had him running that match. Maybe it was just kind of a flex thing. Maybe it was just he turned out to be the best for that. Either way, I don't expect to see that today. Both of these teams also have gotten here with completely different routes. TOF has looked like one of the best teams all season, save for that week 3 matchup against BST where they lost in 2. An incredibly close 2-game series, I should add. Now, SBR, on the other hand, had a really bumpy start to the season. But now, since acquiring Densoa in week 3 for Legion, it seems like they've been on a bit of a tear up until they played TOF week 5. Both teams are incredibly strong fragging. They're similarly compiled in that way. I think Dastin is going to be the big X factor in this series. He's the one that's kind of that pure runner. He fits that mold, whereas SBR doesn't really have that. Densoa has been their runner, it seems, but I'm not so sure he's the pure runner that Dastin is. I'm thinking that's going to be the really big X factor for this series. So look out to see what kind of game he has. That said, even though Dastin is more of the purebred runner, he's also a very good fragger in his own right. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of ball out in that category as well. It's worth noting, I think the thing to pay attention to in this series is, can SBR get flag pressure on both maps? TOF has been the best defensive team in this league. They have allowed the least amount of flags of any team in the league, and they've probably got the best fragger in Ed. Even though Stal has the most frags, I think Ed has the highest kill-death ratio, even with having run for a game. I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me, but he's in the top. I think Ed is also one of the MVP candidates, if there is one. I think he's been that good this season. That said, SBR is still a good team defensively, but as I said, that lack of a true runner might generate some problems for them. They're going to have to manufacture offense somehow against TOF, and I think that's going to be especially true in map 8, because that's where, when I make reference to Dastin being that pure runner, that's where I think the big difference is. I know that Dastin can do a lot of the rocket jumping tricks in that map, and he can do it with ease. I don't know if SBR has a player that could do it as cleanly as Dastin. So they're probably going to have to generate offense in more of a classical approach where you kind of overpower the mid and defender, back to the base, you frag at the super shotgun, you go in, you go out. That's very hard to do, especially against Ed and Ty. That's going to be the X factor. Now, for map 23, Mercurial, for SBR's home field map, This is a little bit more wide open. There's a sphere in the middle that's, I don't think, very overpowering, but it can make a difference. They have, I think, a better collective fragging team. Does that mean that they're going to be able to win with that? I don't know. And are they going to be able to take advantage of that? Keep in mind, this is a team that's only been together now for 3.5 weeks, whereas TOF has been together the full time. Again, what's Dastin going to do here? I think he's going to have to be a much better fragger in this than what he would have to be in something epic map 08, which is TOF's home field. Going forward, I anticipate this to be a very tight game, but I wouldn't be surprised if TOF kind of won 3-0. I'm not making predictions, but I think this is one of the two games where if TOF, the higher seed, were to lose, or the lower seed rather, if they were to lose, I would see this as a monumental upset. I think the rest of the matchups, aside from BST versus Obelisk Blom, is also, which is also going to be what I'd consider a monumental upset should BST lose. I think the rest of the matchups are very close. So I'm really excited for this nonetheless because I think we're going to see a lot of powerhouse fragging. I hope you're just as excited as I am to cast it, man. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the images you're seeing right now are map 23, SBR's home field. Now, they'll be playing that on rounds 3 and 4. But for the first 2 rounds, and I'm going to try to switch it over relatively seamlessly, you'll be seeing map 08. That will be Ty's OnlyFans home field. It's a very classic map that we have seen for eons. And to see it come back in the first couple rounds of the playoffs proper will be kind of a throwback for a lot of us older players. Now, I also did not explain what's on the bottom of the splash for both teams. Those are the regular season records, and it kind of shows that Ty's OnlyFans does have the advantage in terms of not only games won against those teams listed, but they won in their last regular season game against SBR, rounding out their record at 4-1, while SBR is plodding along at a 2-3 record. Do you think, Jamie, map 08, do you think that will be a problem for SBR?
I do. I don't anticipate them having a lot of success offensively. I think in order for them to maybe come out of this series alive, even if you can manage to tie one of the rounds and just D up really heavy, try to get a flag or two, and if you can win, great, but even tying it up kind of helps you a little bit. Because if you could take your two, again, I know the rules are a little bit different now when you get into the 5-game series. I know you've got to win one on their map eventually. So I guess I should take that away. I guess tying doesn't do you much good. But I think the same kind of approach still applies in that they have to win an ugly, low-scoring, drawn-out game. They will not win a shootout on this map. They just won't. They don't have the offensive firepower for it. So I look for them to be very defensive. I think Jake is Jake that is probably going to play a lot in the mid. You'll see Zakin on base D. And I look for Denzo and Caution to really push up the fragging power into their base to try to force those flags. The question comes down to then, can Zakin slow down Dastin when they're in one-on-one isolation matchups in the base? If he can't, Dastin is going to get out of there right away, and it's going to be a very quick series. So yeah, I anticipate TOF to kind of win these going away and something epic, but that's what SBR has to do in order to get out of here with a win.
All right, and to recap, for those of us who are joining now, if you're down say if TOF wins their home field twice and it switches over to Steel Ball Runners and they tie up, they don't win, they tie up those 2 rounds and it goes back to round 5, they are still well in it. They can win the next 5 straight up, or the next 3 straight up, honestly. That's how best of 5 actually works. But no, even if you're down by 2, the game will continue until a team closes out a best of 5 record. So you could have ties for forever. We've had quadruple playoffs before, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a lot of hope when you're down. Like, don't ever get in that mindset of Oh, well, it's over. No, it's not.
No. To touch on that, again, just to clarify, and that's the downside now of being that higher seed is that if this were to extend to 5 rounds, you have to win on their home field. And again, we're saying this as if TOF has no chance on SBR's home field. So I think it's important for them to get game 1. I don't think you can kind of get mashed out in game 1 and then go into game 2 and get one. I think the momentum at that point is going to kind of be lost. You already know that you're playing from a disadvantage. On top of that, you just played last week and you lost. Keep in mind, you lost and you didn't even play against their starting team. You played against their 4th and you still lost. So I think SBR has to get off to a quick start and win this first round. Otherwise, I don't anticipate this being much of a series. I am excited for it because of, like I said, the fragging power. It'll be very interesting to see them duke it out. But yeah, going forward, I think they need to get the first round. I think it's an essential. I think it's a must.
Yeah, I mean, having an early advantage, of course, is pivotal in this series, and so having that home field advantage will be very strong for TOF moving on. This is about the part where we get into kind of predictions, and we usually parrot the odds of the WDL bot, but right now there's only there's very few bets for you know what? I'll just read it off because it's kind of funny. So the odds are let's see. Sound a lot better if I actually had it in front of me. Now, there's 103 for SBR, but 22,218 for TOF. So those are not reflective of the actual odds of SBR coming in. Like it's not a 200 to 1 ratio. So, but hey, you know, that's how a crowd betting application works. Sometimes you get people looking for that huge payout. So SBR, if they win, lots of money to those players. Do you have any predictions on the outcome of this game?
Well, we're supposed to remain impartial, right? So I like to avoid it. As I've kind of stated in my initial analysis, I don't think there's any question TOF are the favorites here. I've been watching them practice for the last 10 minutes. It's kind of what I anticipated. It looks like Ty is going to be on D, Ed's going to be mid. And this is on something epic I don't know about Mercurial. I would say, if I were to make a prediction, just for the sake of doing so to keep the cast interesting, I probably would say 3-1. I think SBR is good enough to get one on their home field. I don't think they're going to get one on something epic, and they'll go down respectfully. They've kind of got some hot heads on their team, so you know, I hope they don't tilt into oblivion when things go bad. But you know, this is the playoffs, so this is where it's all on the line now. So I hope, like I said, there's no nonsense that way. I don't anticipate there being, but that could still have an effect. I mean, we've both been on teams. We both know that a player losing his cool can drastically affect the outcome of a series.
And a big thanks to an Eagle IRL for a tier 1 sub. Welcome to the World Doom League quarterfinals. We're about to hit game time, and we're looking at Map 08, also known as Something Epic, which is TOF's home field. And TOF is closing out their practice and will be probably joined by SBR shortly. But yeah, there has been a little bit of a disagreement not disagreement, but a misunderstanding of how the playoff structure works. Now, it's a best of 5, but if the game is tied at round 5, it will continue going into round 6, round 7, round 8 until that tie is broken, and then the series ends.
Now, the home field stays on the lower seeds, right? So if they tie in round 5, it's something epic indefinitely, right?
No, it alternates from that point on.
Oh, it alternates. Okay.
So
Got it.
round 6 will be map 23. It will be the lower seeds.
Oh, and it's sudden death from there. So first to take a game wins.
Exactly. At least if I understand it right. Rackos has been in the chat. He's the WDL commissioner. He came up with the system. So if we're wrong, he'll yell at us and we'll correct it.
That doesn't sound right, but I would think that because if you're the team that's the lower seed and you have home field advantage and you tie, how is it that the sudden death would then go to their team right away? The map that seems a little strange.
Well, okay, so you get the first seed, the higher seed, the home field advantage gets the first 2 rounds in their map. It is offset by 2 rounds on the lower seed's map, and then it goes back and forth. But round 5 is going to be the advantage to the.
I guess that's true. It's like the tiebreaker it's a sudden death at that point anyway, right?
I suppose in most cases, typically it would be, yes.
Well, game 5, right? Like it's sudden death at that point. Winner takes all, unless there's a tie, as you stated. So right. I guess it kind of makes sense for it to bounce back to the other team's map, and then they alternate from there. So, okay. I suppose I could see that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we've actually run into that recently, where it has gone more than 5 rounds. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure there are a couple people in chat like Cabler or Rackos who know for sure what playoff games have gone past that round 5 threshold. Right now we're going through map 23, and we'll do a quick flyby of this map.
1 second.
There is a green armor in the base, and it is flanked by 3 different routes you can take. One route that is kind of your main route goes underneath a fake bridge where flag carriers can die and drop their flag right below. A soul sphere in the middle can be quite hotly contested, as it gives you 100 extra health, a rocket launcher in the side route, and there is an upper route that takes you above that fake bridge and out to a really quick lift. Like, this is one of the lifts that doesn't have any travel time. It'll propel you straight up to the higher floor, making it a nice avenue to run if you're being chased. There's a shotgun spawn overlooking mid. I'm not sure there's any super shotgun spawns in this map. I don't think there are. There are 2 in the base, a chain gun spawn in the base as well, and I think that rounds it out for map 23, which is SBR's home field. Map 08, we didn't really get a chance to look through it, but it's a pretty straightforward map. There are no major items to control in TOF's home field, and is much more reliant than it used to be on rocket jumps. Something that is kind of the bread and butter of all teams going into map 08.
Yeah, that really opens up the map. I think the rocket jumping changed the map indefinitely. I mean, you remember back in the day when nobody knew how to rocket jump, and it was just like, a 10 to 15 minute slugfest 0-0 because nobody could score.
Yeah, that map used to be known as used to be met with collective groans from everyone in the community when it came out, because players were starting to get really good with their aim and control, and there was nothing to break the stranglehold of defense on that map. But it's not so much that anymore, and we have some players who are practicing a rocket jump across middle here, even on a relatively flat map like 23. You can rocket jump from end to end. The soul sphere obviously will help. Green armor in the base will reduce damage by 1/3, making it pretty important for a runner to control and a defender to deny to enemy runners. But we're just waiting on SBR to file in. I see their reservist, Fran.
Yeah, and Densoa. But I don't see Zacket or Caution.
Oh, I do see Densoa, yeah. So we're just waiting on the last couple members to file in, and we'll be getting into the first quarterfinal of Summer 2020. Thank you to everybody who's just, taking time out of their day to watch the stream and follows and subs and stuff, and all that cool stuff helps the league a lot. We're going to be moving the servers to New York in no time. But while the players file in, we'll run a brief break so we can try to avoid any ads that show up on the stream. And a reminder that if you got a Prime sub, you can avoid any ads if you don't have an ad blocker, because we live in Amazon's world now.
Thanks, Jeff Bezos.
So while we get that running, I mean, most of you, due to the gigantic 30 bomb that some mostly anonymous donor dropped a few weeks ago, you won't be seeing any ads. Some won't see them because of ad block, but if you're on mobile, you'll probably see ads, unfortunately. That's just how it goes. Team Captain Zakin is in the server, so they do have a lineup, and Caution joined as well. Looks like we're going to be getting into this shortly. We're waiting on a map change vote to get to map 8 first, because TOF does have home field advantage, and we won't be playing this map that we're looking at right away until rounds 3 and 4.
I want to do a quick shout out to Shackle. He just turned 39 a couple of days ago, so again, happy birthday, buddy.
Is that number accurate?
Yep.
Damien? We don't tell lies. We don't tell lies on this stream.
Oh, I would never do that.
Okay, just there you go, folks.
But here we are. We're ready for some games.
I'm not sure what the discussion is all about. Are we starting for demos? Everyone demoing.
I
wish I could disable spectator chat. Please.
How are they? Now, my only question is I guess they'll just restart and vote for map 8, huh?
I think they could just vote for map 8 straight up instead of saying, like, but I don't know how the map list vote works. I think there's a pattern to it. I think you just vote for the first. Yeah, you just vote for a map for the first map in the map list.
Got it.
And then it would, yeah. Because it is structured in a way where it goes 8, 23 twice, and then it alternates from that point on.
Yeah.
Up to 14 maps, and then it loops back around to number 6 on the map list, which, good God, I hope we don't get to that far. But,
looks like Ty got trapped in the Mega Man universe again.
Good gravy. While we're still waiting, thanks for the follow, RGB RG Bub. That's how you say that.
Oh, he timed out.
Ty timed out, so Team Captain Ty of Ty's OnlyFans timed out, but he's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right.
Doesn't seem he's having connection issues, but
I'm tempted to disable messages again.
Well, they won't be talking in the middle of the game.
Better not be. I'm losing my mind.
I would turn them off, maybe.
Yeah, I think if we do this another season, if there is another World Doom League, then we'll have a custom client where you can see all the obituaries in the top corner, but none of the chat messages. I mean, it's a simple flag, but the developers are pretty busy with what we call real life.
Yeah.
And when we get into round 1, we'll turn those off just for everyone's sanity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the obituaries are super important to the spectators. I mean, they matter, but yeah, it's definitely something for the future that will be really beneficial. Just that added piece, right?
We got a vote restart happening. Oh, everyone's just going in. Oh, we don't want a quick load. We want messages off, but we're going to be starting off watching Dr. Noob, also known as Ed. When we call out Ed, we're talking about Dr. Noob. Starting off on
very
map
aggressive
8.
Start. He started out in their base, so he's starting to push up a lot already.
He's getting the early frags up in there, which I'm not sure why that player was trying to jump up, but we're going to be... We weren't able to get to that flag carrier in time. He was shot down right in front of the base, doing that first rocket jump that we talked about.
Yeah, he got in, and that's a little bit of a concern if you're SBR. You don't want Dastin getting in that easily. I know they returned it, but generally when they're even able to get in and rocket jump in the first place, that's not a good sign.
And there is a little bit of that early game fuzz where everyone's still getting set up. Oh, and that player rocket jumping over the middle got shot straight out of the air. Valiant attempt to get across mid without getting shot out, but didn't happen. Ty looking to kind of push out in the base. Dastin with the first touch that we're able to spectate, getting out with a pistol start from one player, misses the second, but he's got coverage from his team. Now, is there anyone from SBR waiting to drop down from above? There is not. Blue team scores first score on the board, TOF 1-0 in round 1.
Yeah, it was a very clean run by Dastin. Ed had the support. It looks like right now TOF is keeping complete control of mid. SBR is being pushed into their base. Even Ed's getting cracks at flags now. They've got to stop the bleeding now, or this is going to get away from them fast.
And it's a mutual return for both teams. I believe the red flag is dropped in the flag room, so it's not too much of a concern. It will auto-return after a few seconds.
It's interesting that Ed as the mid is actually rocket jumping into their base a lot just to keep pressure. It seems to be working so far. Keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, caution with a rocket jump of his own out to mid, but he's got 5 health. Anything can drop him at this point, and it does. But there's a pickup from Zakin, showing the importance of a good mid out to the... Keep an eye out for that flag drop. Now it is tied up 1-1. First round.
That's exactly what they needed. Yeah, SBR needed that right there, and they got... It looks like Jake is going to be doing that. It looks like he's going to show that he could do the rocket jump, and even though he didn't take it all the way, he was able to train it to mid. That's going to be how they get into this game and win it. They have to manufacture offense like that.
Dastin out with 1 health, just a measly 1. They can't seem to get a shot off on him, but they do finally, and it's dropped before it gets out to mid. Quickly returned.
Yeah, and SBR has stabilized the mid too a little bit. Ed's not kind of dominating. Now, he's been doing a lot of the rocket jumping, but we got a touch here, so...
Dastin eats a rocket. So you gotta
so
watch
he
out
hasn't
for
been
that.
doing the he hasn't been doing the rocket jumping, but we'll see. I mean, look, we're tied up. You're exactly where you need to be right now if you're SBR. Just take your time.
And we saw a little rocket jump from Dastin from the rocket podium up to the top with very little damage. Now, a lot of players have been refining that technique over the years to give themselves quick mobility across, and that is one trick that has been kind of a staple on the map. While most maps will lock off an upper area like that, it's become so integral with Map 08 that it's been allowed to be a kind of a conduit for runners to get from point A to point B, or from blue base to red base. Dastin looking to get that quick rocket jump up, showing the skill that you need to get up, using that slope to propel himself upwards. And has a good run up at the top, but they were waiting for him by lowering that lift. Kind of a counter to keep a runner from getting out the far side and back across, forcing them to go out through main. Dastin across mid, almost completely, but it's dropped in the lava and returned.
So it's good communication and rotation by SBR, but still it's a little concerning. Those were 2 flags there that were very close to being broken out. They've got to tighten up Ed. Ed is doing whatever he wants in their base, and it's causing all sorts of problems for Zakin, who so far has done okay on Dastin, but they've got to rein Ed in somehow.
Yeah, Ed is kind of like the terror in the red base, just going in and forcing them to allocate attention. Ed getting a touch in on his own, saying, "You got to come back and fight me." Great strategy from... Even a single player can turn the tide of getting an entire team's offense set up. But SBR trying to get into the TOF base. Their runner shot down by Ed. Mid is not as hotly contentious as it used to be, where you used to have a player from each team fighting over mid control entirely. A lot of teams' runners are opting to take a side route.
Yeah, so far, too, I want to point this out as well, because I've switched over to Den, so it's worth mentioning that Den's been doing a very good job, too. He hasn't had the control that Ed has, but he's there, and he's making a difference.
And Dastin with a couple quick frags off the shotgun spawn to get out to mid, but it's just not enough to get across.
Yeah, and Den has been responsible for those saves, too. That's a... Difference to point out is that Den is keeping a lot of the runners in front of them, but not getting offensive pressure.
We'll watch Xenaero a little bit, because he's pushing out to mid as well, so he's doing what he can to kind of control TOF's roster. And when he gets low on health, he'll make a run to kind of reset himself and give him a little bit of breathing room. Good strategy from a defender.
for sure. And I just think he needs to get a little bit more offensive to help Caution out on the offensive end. Ty is a very good defender here, so I don't know that Caution is going to be able to overpower Ty.
Speaking of the team captain, kind of watch him a little bit. Seems to be playing a more control-based mid. More classical mid, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. They've done a good job on Dassin so far. They've shut him down. They've kept his rocket jumping under control. We had those 2 flags where it looked like they might get away, but they were able to stop him. But here's a touch, so we'll see how it goes.
Dastin with a good frag up top, but there was somebody waiting below to return it. And that's the kind of play you need as a runner to get out of the base. You have to neutralize the player playing up top, posting up, and make them fear you.
Yeah. Again, I mean, this is a slower pace map, so keep in mind that, you know, we're already at 255. And it feels like it's been an eternity. But for these guys, I'm sure it's probably a rush.
Because every event on map 8 matters. At the level players are today, it's gone from a stranglehold, boring, snooze-fest defensive map to being a very finesse-based map, while still very, very slow in terms of captures. There's a lot more depth to it than there used to be.
Yeah, so let's see what happens with this this attempted run here. Okay, there we go. Zakin stopped him. I want to see this too going forward. Zakin has really just stayed on D and has not moved up much at all. You can see that in his frag count. I think for them to get scores, he's got to move
Caution,
up a
rocket
lot.
jump, burned a defender. He's out to mid. He's got cover. It's down on the steps. Xenaero with a pickup. And that was perfectly orchestrated while TOF was in there in the base trying to just play that stalemate game out. SPR said, nah, Caution is gone. And that pickup from Xenaero securing a capture 2-1 as we get towards 1 minute and 40 seconds left in round 1.
Yeah, Zakin making me eat my own words there. But you know what? If they're able to keep Dastin and TOF off of the flag like this, then there's no reason for them to change their approach. But if TOF becomes more offensive, I think Zakin's going to have to move out a little bit more to control mid so he doesn't get overwhelmed on his flag. But they're not doing it yet, so keep an eye out for that.
Zakin eating a rocket up top, and then mutual rocket kill there. Cleared out the base. Zakin playing a pretty good defensive run here. Two members of TOF in their base. Dastin with a clean rocket jump out, but he only had 23 health and was brought down. Caution looking to get out, but shot before that rocket goes off.
Yeah, Denzo has been fantastic in the mid, hasn't he? I mean, he's the difference maker so far.
It's interesting. Denzoa and Ed kind of playing pivotal roles for their teams in terms of control and distraction.
Yeah, I mean, Denso is just saving so many flags that may have otherwise been out. I mean, he is just in the right place at the right time each time. So big ups to him. He's the reason right now I think that SBR is ahead. And look, there's 20 seconds left, so I'm not jinxing anything.
A perfectly timed rocket jump from Caution helped a great deal in that run. Dastin with
absolutely.
61 health, looking to get out. He's got his whole team in the base. But the cover wasn't where it needed to be. They need to secure those frags a little bit better going into round 2, which we'll be seeing in just a second. Caution with a 5-second flag run, but there's not enough time to get from point A to point B. And we'll be closing it out with round 1 going to Steel Ball Runners on Ty's OnlyFans home field. Might give them a little wake-up call.
Well, that's what they needed. Like I said, SBR needed this. This is what they wanted. They had to win a game like that. Low scoring. Great job from them. I think TOF needs to be more offensive in this next round.
Our spectator camera set up over the middle. Not inside the wall, though, as we start off watching Dr. Noob.
Yeah, so it looks like they're kind of more of the same thing. I think Dr. Noob is going to have to be more aggressive here. I don't think they're going to be able to have much offensive success without it.
Not so hot on that that rocket jump, forcing Dastin to take the main mid route and kind of play for time with the flag in hand, forcing them to play in their base. So not an entirely useless run. Caution, 60 health, trying to get out to mid, but shot down from the guard post up above the lift in TOF space.
Yeah. So far, Ed's been rotating back on defense a lot, and I think they're content with that. You know what? They've practiced with Dastin kind of being the playmaker here on offense. It looks like they're not going to get away from that. So we'll see if it works. I mean, I think they're going to need to adjust a little bit, but keep an eye out on that.
Second trying to shoot down Dastin from top. Dastin sticks close to that wall. Kind of helps with the first shot, but not the second. But he's back in the base. Gets one defender, but doesn't have enough health to really rocket jump. Tries to do... what? Ah, yeah, okay. So that's the kind of a trick that a lot of runners have employed over the years, where they get up on that slope and use the rocket force below them to propel themselves up a little bit further. Sometimes it works. It's a little trickier. Requires a little bit more time to set up, but it's worth an attempt.
Both teams have gone a lot more defensive, too, if you've been noticing that. So I think that's the really interesting thing. SBR is fine with it because they already got their round. They've stolen home field. I think what Ed needs to do in general, TOF, is they need to get another guy going up top to attack Zakin on that platform to get him off of there because he's able to control Dastin from there right now. Otherwise, I don't think they're going to generate enough offense.
Dastin trying to get out with the rocket jump, but walks right into the jaws of a defender, waiting just below that rocket jump point. But repeated touches are going to force them. I think Dastin may have shot Zakin off that upper platform with that rocket. He takes the side route. The lift was not lowered. He gets almost all the way across, but a pistol shot drops him.
Ed waiting for the rebound.
To 0. And Dastin looking for another touch, straight up. He's contending with rockets that are being aimed at the ceiling, trying to splash him off. Does another low HP run up at the top. It's getting almost all the way across.
Oh, Ed got it!
Ed picked it up from that upper platform. They just have to return. The red flag carrier has left the building.
Yeah, Caution was able to rocket jump out, so we got ourselves a good old standoff here.
Oh, and he just dropped to middle, but one of the red players didn't see him, but that one sure did. Zakin, with a touch of his own, going out to mid. The cover, he's like, please turn around and help me.
Caution chain gun
with a fist play back into the lava. Mutual return. Fortunately, that was not disastrous for SBR.
No, but again, you're okay with that if you're SBR. You don't mind that exchange because it's tied. If you get out of here with the tie, that's fine. That's not the end of the world. Of course, you'd prefer a win, but...
In fact, on the opening home field that you're playing against, if you get a win and a tie in rounds 1 and 2, that's a great position to be in.
Yeah, exactly. Because then they win the series if they just get one, right? Like if they win round 3, well, no, they could still be tied up against. But still, either way...
If every other game is tied, then SBR walks away with a win. Yeah,
that too. But I'm speaking just in the event that they win and then they lose the next 2.
Oh, right.
No.
Yeah.
They would be so it would be tied. Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter then. They would have to win. But either way, I mean, because they won the first round, they're playing with house money now. If they lose, big deal. They go to their playoffs. Now, that's not the way you want to think. You're thinking we want to win right now.
We want a tie or a win, yeah.
Yeah. But that's why TOF needs to be showing a sense of urgency too, because you don't want to go into this being down, 0-2 or 0-1-0.
And they are, though. We saw for a brief split second 2 members of TOF on each side of the map getting in through the upper area. So they are applying an offensive pressure, but they just have to beat the defense of SBR. Dastin dropped and returned. And it's tough to coordinate on a map like this, primarily because if you have a defender, you cannot unseat. The force multiplier of having a defender up top is really strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ed's getting a lot of frags, but they're empty frags so far. They're not amounting to a whole lot, whereas Denstoa seems to actually be controlling the game. And I have to reiterate this. TOF needs to apply more pressure somehow. They've got to get pressure off of that platform so Dastin can get clean runs.
Caution, trying to jump across, but is shot down midair. Skeet shooting Paradise. showing that having a defender like on the other side of that rocket jump podium is very valuable because they can't, unlike Quake, they cannot adjust their trajectory midair. They're locked in for that trajectory. Ed looking to get out, firing rockets at the ceiling and getting a clean shot off on the defender and getting out relatively clean.
Oh, he's gone.
He's actually got the score in hand. 1-0 for TOF.
If the frags aren't doing it, then you grab the flag and you do it yourself. Ed is trying to carry them into this one, but now if you're SBR, plenty of time.
You got 3 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock in round 2. Ed taking advantage of that moment where everyone was distracted. Ed saying, hey, I might be able to do it again. Getting 1 kill. Looking for maybe 4 more, but unfortunately it just doesn't line up. Spawns were against them. Daston, 18 health in the base, gets shot from behind, and flag will be returned. But it's down in the flag room, so it's not entirely safe, but I don't know, what is the flag return timer? Is it 10 seconds or 5?
10 seconds.
I think it's 10.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
So,
it's interesting too. Yes, TOF is winning right now. They're up 1-0 in this round. But SBR's got confidence, man. They're vibing. You can see that they're like, you know what? Last week doesn't mean anything. We're here now. We're here to play. That's not good for TOF. You don't want them to get momentum and confidence going into their home field. So, this is the kind of point where if you're TOF, like, let's try to get a couple of flags, not only to win and secure our lead, but to really go into next round emphatically with some momentum. Because SBR is still kind of in this, and I don't know that that's good for TOF. I mean, look, you already lost home field advantage because they took it, but now these guys are hanging around still.
I mean, worst case scenario, it'll be tied up from the result of rounds 1 and 2, but SBR definitely smells the blood in the water.
Sure.
Like, having that round 1 win does wonders mentally when you're staring down the barrel all week at, like, look, we're up against a team for 2 rounds on their home field.
Yeah. And a team, by the way, TOF has been touted as one of the best teams in the league all season, whereas if you're SBR, you've been up and down, and, you finally got some stability in the last couple of weeks. I mean, look, momentum and confidence, they're amazing things. So, there's still a minute and a half left. This game isn't over, but...
That's trying to get up top, but intercepted and body blocked.
Yeah, Denso's getting a little more offensive now. Seems they see that, we need a flag. Let's try to go for it. The worst that happens is we lose now. We're already going into this tied with home field advantage with us now, so...
Exactly, and with a minute left in round 2, we will be seeing, in round 3, a home field from Steel Ball Runners. Dengzoa is across mid. It's dropped in the lava, but it is returned. 40 seconds left for SBR to tie it back up.
Now, going into next map is going to be really interesting because, boy, is it going to be a change of pace. So I'm really curious to see how both of these teams adjust to the very slow, methodical pace of Something Epic to Mercurial, which is much more fast-paced and in your face.
Yeah, it's SBR's home field, which we'll see next round, is... map 23 is absolutely far more aggressive. And as we round out round 2 with a 1-0 victory in round 2 for TOF, the record is tied. First round went to SBR, second round to TOF.
Yeah, but you did what you needed to do if you're SBR. You've got everything you want. You control your fate now. So if you're SBR, you're saying, okay, boys, let's go and get this second round or this third round, and then we can close them out in advance. But you're not looking ahead either, obviously.
One map, one round at a time. We're getting into map 23. We'll position the spectator camera out to mid. SBR grabbing the Soul Sphere straight up. That's a 100 health boost to your current standing health up to 200 maximum. Helps runners a great deal. Dengzoa with green armor out to mid, but he doesn't quite get there. Intercepted up the top lift.
Yeah, he put a move on Ty and retired those ankles for eternity. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not. But it just shows how well-equipped SBR is to take their home field by force. Xenaero out to mid, caution with a pickup. Does he have enough health? He does. A quick, blistering 1-0 lead for SBR, saying, coming out swinging, saying, this map is ours and we're going to make you feel it. Daston, 15 health, out to mid. Intercepted. Picked up again and dropped and returned. 9 minutes left. In the first minute, we've seen more action than a few minutes of map 08.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, they came out swinging, SBR that is. I mean, they punched them in the face, and I got to tell you, TOF looks like they don't know what hit them. They're kind of stunned. And this doesn't bode well for them if this continues.
Xenaero with a little bit of an advantage going into the flag room, but he doesn't get that refrag off the spawning blue player. But that is not even close to over as Daston with 36 health going out through the lift side. But intercepted quickly and returned. The mid coverage wasn't there for TOF. They gotta come together if they're going to answer that quick one flag advantage.
Yeah, so it looks like Denso has been the runner, and he's the one with the most frags. So it kind of tells you why they really wanted this map to be their home field. Denso is balling out so far. I'd argue he balled out the first 2 rounds and is the MVP of those, in addition with cautions runs. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty nuts what we're seeing so far. But that's been the season. Teams are tight. It's a hard season, man.
Ty looks like he's trying to control the middle in general, chipping away or outright slaughtering members of SBR. Grabbing this, did he even get the spear? I'm not sure if he did. The health vanished so quickly. It might as well have not been there in the first place. Relatively few touches coming out compared to the early moments of the game. Team's playing a lot more defensive, but Zakin has a run of his own, like going out to the side, using that hard cover the lift, but he's brought down by just a swarm of blue players. Ed sitting up top, but he's quickly dropped because that lift has no travel time. The moment you hear it hit the ground, you gotta be looking towards it.
So we are at a quarter point way through this round, and for 2 rounds and 1 quarter, TOF's offense has been stifled. They have been non-existent offensively. And if you're SBR, this is exactly what you want. So again, I know I've been beating the dead horse here with this, but TOF has to get offense going. I don't think they win in slugfests like this. I really just don't think they have the overall fragging power that's spread across and distributed well evenly as SPR does, for example. Their fragging power is mostly invested in Ty and Ed. So this isn't the type of game they want to be in.
Zakin with a little bit extra health after getting to the flag, but he's staring down the barrels of 3 super shotguns. It doesn't work out well for him. Xenaero brought down as well. Daston, similarly, flag returned. Players are a lot more astute on when their flag's being taken, turning around, kind of giving up that mid control in favor of dropping the carry before they can get a route around them. Daston with a touch, but not long for this world. Flag returned.
Yeah, it's more of the same thing. Just Densoa causing havoc, and defensively, SBR being stout.
Now, I was watching the mid a little bit for a few seconds, and there was just no one there. All the activities happening in the base. Zakin dropped the blue flag at the mouth of the base. That was returned. Ed, with 35 health, trying to outrun the defender, says, hey, please support me at mid. Going into the rocket side, catches that corner, but it's not enough to slow him down as TOF ties it up 1-1 in round 3.
Oh, almost saw the rebound. Oh, did we get the train?
And we got kind of a little relay race going, but it was quickly put to an end.
So take a moment to look at the frags, and Daston is having no effect at all on this game so far. That has to change. I know it's tied, but if TOF wants to win, that's got to change. That has to change. It cannot be like that.
Frag discrepancy for both teams is negligible, 95-90.
Yeah.
Daston does have very few frags. He's kind of like trying to get behind SBR as much as he can. Ed is definitely doing the weight for TOF as far as frags are happening. He's always been kind of a frag monster. This season he's definitely put up, I think, one of the top stacks either for frags or damage, but Xenaero out to mid. Oh, a little pre-fire there from below. Misses that shot, but a second player drops him. Dastin trying to get across, and it can't. He's picked up, but he's chased, and the flag is returned.
Yeah, so I know that I know that the frags are relatively even, but the point that I'm making is that Dastin is trying to play this as kind of like a zombie sneaky style of runner. You can't do that here. You have to power in and out. That's the only way that you're going to have any sort of impact in this map.
This map is a lot more of a slugfest. Ed and Zakin taking the other team's flags. Zakin not enough health to get across mid.
He got the power up too.
But he got body blocked. But Zakin picks it back up, and it's returned. So close to the podium, and yet so far with members of TOF hot on your tail.
Yeah, so we're about 3 minutes into this round left. Let's see if they got
looking like with 2 health and 3 armor, and that's enough. You just gotta limp across before you die, and that brings it up to 2-1.
So Dastin got some frags going there, so that was a big thing, and I know that he's going to have the lower end of the frags, but that's the type of run that he needs to make. Get a couple of frags. You don't have to be a powerhouse, but just expect that you're going to have to frag your way out a little bit.
Oh, for sure. And now the pressure's on SBR saying, hey, you took 1 round on our home field. We'll take 1 on yours. Do they have a response?
Yeah, so maybe they woke up the sleeping giant. I mean, well, let's see what happens with this run here. Oh,
got dropped, but it can be picked up. Not everybody's facing the same way, and that could cost the run. It does. Red flag returned. 3 minutes left on the clock.
So this whole time I've talked about TOF not having a lot of offensive firepower, but we have to remember they've still been very good defensively. So that's been what they've done well this season. So that's not surprising that they're still in this and there's no panic yet. But if you're SBR, look, plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Unlike Map 08, Map 23 runs can be very quick. There's no rocket jumps really to pull off. There's no whole ton of synergy to get mid-clear. It is a lot more about point-and-click adventures. Benzoa looking to get a flag out for his team. They're down by 1 with a 2-minute warning coming up. Red flag dropped in the middle, returned.
So I've seen Dastin win some of these one-on-one matchups a little bit more now. Look at that going forward, because if he's able to do that more and generate more offense, SBR might be in trouble.
Both teams kind of turtling up whenever the flag gets taken. Relatively more conservative this time around. TOF can play kind of comfy and cozy, as it were. Dastin still making a run. Benzoa dropped quickly. Dastin less so, but he's intercepted at the far side of mid. They need to clear that rock wall if they're going to get a runner across. It's a pretty good place for a runner to post up. Zakin in his left side with the TOF flag. And the timing, caution, picking it back up. And they squeeze out another capture, tying up round 3 at 2-2. What a capture.
Yeah, and you got a minute left, so tons of opportunities to still score and win this round.
And they don't let that carrier get very far. Chain guns, shotguns, lots of bullets going down range. Caution looking to defend.
Dastin in with power-ups.
Dastin dropped, showing that it doesn't make you invincible, but it definitely helps.
TOF going for it, man. They're pressuring this flag like crazy.
They absolutely have to. They're effectively... Well, we're looking at a tie series so far. Dastin and Benzoa both out, but Dastin gets that. He's so close to turning it. No, he missed the shot. It's a mutual return on the podium of TOF.
Yeah, that's just the madhouse that is this map.
Spread that doesn't work out well for you. He's got coverage here, but yeah, Ed with that soul sphere advantage gets that last, and that all these sometimes doesn't always work out. Ed with the relatively last second flag capture, securing round 3 at a score of 3-2 for TOF.
Ooh, we got a series.
We most certainly do.
So TOF's fragging kind of started to pull away at the end there. So let's see how SBR adjusts, because you know what? Still not over. If you win this, you still go to game 5. You've shown that you can win on something epic. Let's just get this one now if you're SBR.
That's right, and we're looking at starting off on Ed, the man of the hour for round 3, securing that one round and putting a match point on the board for TOF in the first quarterfinals of World Doom League Summer 2020. Zoa looking to get out through the left side. Is their coverage where it needs to be? Drops down, hits that box.
Oh.
Not enough health to survive that chain gun. It's returned, but picked up by Zach. Wow, that was actually quite a hell of a run.
Yeah, it was.
Grabbing the armor. Not so much luck below that fake bridge. First blood from SBR so early in round 4.
Well, that's a great step. I mean, you know, you come out, you get a flag right away. It's going to feel good for them. Pressure's on, though. You know, let's see if they crumble, or let's see if they, you know, sometimes you put that pressure on the coal and you make a diamond, or you just get busted up coal and you don't really do anything with it. A metaphor for crumbling under pressure, in case anyone was wondering.
And metaphors are going to be something that TOF is going to need less of and more action instead, as they're down by 1 flag. Dastin looking out to mid, though. He's looking to, but he got grazed by that one shotgun blast. Shot from below and quickly returned. Now, those fake bridges, if you're on them and you die with the flag, because it is now a solid floor, the flag drops below to the next solid floor. Dastin back out to mid.
Ooh, what a move. Yeah, this one's been a lot more exciting than something epic. I'll tell you that much. It doesn't live up to the name, does it?
And Dr. Noob out to the side, but brought down in 1 shot and returned. 8 minutes left on the board. There's a lot of time for TOF to come back here.
Oh, plenty of time. I mean, 7 minutes and 45 seconds on this map is an eternity.
On a map as blistering as this, Dr. Noob, 80 health and on the lift ramp side. Trying to get in behind all the defenders, but one spots him out while the other 2 had their back turned. Then Zoa getting out to mid. And is there a pickup? There's not. Blue flag returned.
So far we're seeing SBR little ahead on the frags, negligible difference. So let's see if that theme of last round continues, where TOF eventually wore them down, or if SBR is able to keep up and keep the pressure on.
And again, we're looking at match point for TOF. They have won 2 rounds so far, while SBR has won 1. It is a best of 5 in the quarterfinals. There's a flag standoff. Caution dropped. And Ty looking to get a capture on his own, but he's intercepted with 5 health. No luck there. Denizoa out to mid with a shred of armor and a shred of health.
Oh!
And not even a prayer as it's returned. And Dastin picks it back up.
Huge play.
Incredible return from Dastin, and it ends up being a capture, tying up round 4, 1-1.
That's the X factor right there.
Caution with a touch of his own, but a touch of death follows him with only 5 health to his name.
Yeah, so Dastin's been much more impactful this round than he was last round. It's showing up in the frags and obviously with that last flag. So pressure's on SBR now. Let's see if they're able to rise up to the challenge or if they crumbled under the pressure.
And a tie here does not mean the end of the world for SBR, but it definitely puts them in a bad state of affairs, as round 5 will go back to TOF's home field, map 08.
And they have to win. They cannot tie that round.
They would have to win that match. That's, of course, if we tie. I mean, we're looking at, just under 6 minutes left in the game on a slugfest map where, the frags come and the flags come quicker. We've seen answers to every flag capture so far. Denizoa out to mid. Looking to get... Goes right on through main, but it's intercepted by one player and returned by another. Last-second return from TOF keeps them in round 4.
Yeah, second huge return by Dastin there right at the flag podium. Again, night and day difference so far from what you're seeing from him. I am more than impressed with his work this round. I mean, this is two very good defensive teams clashing on a map that generally, you know, it's not unusual to see a kind of shootout style. But these teams, man, they're fragging it up and they're keeping this thing low scoring. It's incredible to watch. Another trade.
Just relentless touches from both teams, but Dastin gets a really clean run in off that rocket-sized staircase. Doesn't touch a single corner, and that makes the difference as TUF goes up 2-1. Putting incredible...
Sounds like Dastin heard me.
Really putting the screws into SBR as they need an answer to this or they will lose the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so my predictions might turn out right. 3-1. It's just that, you know what? SBR got swept on their home field, but plenty of time. Not getting ahead of ourselves.
Are you telling me that we might have, for the second time ever, a correct caster prediction? That's shocking to me.
Well, last time I did that, we had a last-second capture for a team to win the game, so...
Oh, the caster's curse manifests once again. Now, I wonder, can Dasting put another score on the board here? Doesn't look like... Oh, he picks it back up! The staircase foils many would-be pickups, but... The flag is dropped. I believe it's dropped on the red podium.
Yeah, so... Look at the frags now. You're really starting to see Ty's only fans assert themselves. SBR's got to change this. They cannot afford to be pushed in like this. They're going to start bleeding soon.
Yeah, we're looking at a discrepancy of 10 frags, but... You know, so most teams are matching each other blow for blow with, of course, Ed with a significant advantage in frag power. Caution looking to make a run out to middle, but there's multiple angles being watched by TUF, and they were not cleared out of mid in time. TUF's Dastin looking to go out left side, but someone says, hey, I'm just going to check up there for a quick second.
Yeah, and that was a flag saver by Zach, and otherwise Dastin was gone.
And Dastin
he had coverage in mid.
He's got a run going, but it wasn't enough at mid, showing just how difficult mid is to control between these two teams.
Dastin getting get out with that one.
Yeah, just not making it out of there alive.
2.5 minutes now. If you're SPR, sense of urgency now. You got to get a flag now. You know, you don't... I know you don't want to call all-o with 2 minutes left, but it's do or die.
And TUF's Dastin again with another flag at the edge of the podium, but dropped. Xenaero looking to make his way out. Caution. Brought down in 2 quick shotgun blasts. Xenaero almost makes it to that soul sphere. Caution with a full stack of health. What's the play going to be? Gets a frag up on the side. Goes up rocket side. Needs it returned. It's returned, and it's good for a tie-up game. Less than 2 minutes left. SBR 2-2 in round 4.
Yeah. Now the pressure's on SBR now, because do you go for the win here, or do you just say we're good with the tie and we'll win next round? Might not matter.
Dastin with low health across mid, but there's a pickup from Ty, and the chain gun squad comes through, angrily returning that red
Desperation
flag.
rocket from Denso in mid.
And Ed looking for a way out. Looks like he might have found it. There's a pickup and a return.
Oh, here we go. He's got backup.
And the chain wasn't enough. The chain, all the wheels fell off that train right there.
Yeah, they did. But it's becoming problematic for SBR to get flags out. They are just getting pushed into their base and pushed around.
And part of that is because 2F is playing a lot more conservative, knowing that they can push it to round 5 with an advantage on their home field. Caution, looking in. Oh, and that, with 40 seconds left, score in the last minute of round 4 puts 2F up 3-2, and this could be it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 30 seconds, but that's a problem, man.
And Zakin with 10 health. Going in. And he's dropped last second. Caution has time for one more run, but he's staring down the entire team at mid. Time is ticking on him. Where's the cover? It wasn't there where it needed to be. 10 seconds left. This might be the last run possible. Dastin. Zakin dropped, and that will close it out. What a series from TOF to win 3-1.
Well, I was right.
You were right, and we'll give you a little round of applause. For being correct this time.
Yeah, maybe not by the. I wasn't right in the sequence, but I was right in the final result. Yeah, I mean, to kind of sum it up. Look, here's the thing. If you're SBR, I know there's no moral victories at this point. I know there's no silver lining. You lost every round was a 1 flag difference save for the tie round. You had your chances. That's all you could have asked for. You played exactly how you wanted to play and how you needed to play. But at the end of the day, the fragging power of Ed and Ty in combination was too much. They overwhelmed them. They did not keep up with them on that end, and that's why ultimately TOF is advancing. And I think these are probably them with Rip and Tear are the best fragging teams. So, you know, I was really excited for this because I thought this is what you were going to see, this kind of slugfest. I got to admit, I was impressed with SBR's defense. They really held Dastin in check. I think Dastin was huge this round. Huge returns, huge scores. But, you know, again, these are the playoffs, and this has been a very, very, very close season amongst all the teams. So I'm not surprised that it was this close. Wasn't what I necessarily predicted, but I'm not surprised. Fantastic series. You know what? Round of applause to SBR. They salvaged a season that at one point looked like it was going to be very bad, and they were able to make put up an incredible fight. So great series. TOF moves on. SBR goes home, and now we look forward to our next game.
And what is our next game? And also, more importantly, when is it?
I believe it's at 8 o'clock, and it's the Superchargers versus the Boomstick Warriors. Another very intriguing matchup.
So it's actually at 8:30. It is the Superchargers and Boomstick Warriors. But so we'll be taking a brief break. I didn't really plan to go back to back like this, but with a 4-round game, we'll be able to segue right into the next game. Now, give us a few seconds, and we'll. Oh, actually, do we have stats up? You want to run through those?
Yeah, we can if they've got the stats up.
I don't know if we have the stats up yet.
Blair was around, so he'll probably post them momentarily.
While we're waiting for that, I'm going to get the assets set up for the next game. And transition right over to the World Doom League little splash that we have. Stats will be up in a moment. 8:30. Oh, 8:30 is. Okay, see, I have to convert to time zones every single time, and it just doesn't work out for me. Like, I don't have a big enough brain for it. You have to forgive me.
Oh, you're good. I'm just telling Dastin how good he was in round 4.
And we'll have stats up in just a second, but as it in a 3-1 victory in a best of 5, Ty's OnlyFans wins over Steel Ball Runners, and they will advance. We'll be waving goodbye to SBR.
Goodbye. We should do like the gone fishing that the NBA cast used to do when a team would lose the playoffs. They'd put them in like a little boat, like a fisher's boat, and it's like they're gone fishing for the season.
Oh, geez. Well, we could plan something like that eventually, but for now, we just get a pretty little splash image that says eliminated.
Oh,
and that's all you get.
Or you get the what is it? The GTA. What is it when you die?
Wasted.
Wasted. Yeah. Although I don't think there's a little salt in the chat right now, but they'll get over that. They'll be okay.
Oh, and that's how it is in a competitive league, and a hobby that we all enjoy. But I'll paste the stat link in the chat as well, and we'll go over it all together like a happy family.
Yep, Ralph just posted them, so we got them up.
Yeah, I've been refreshing his schedule page like crazy.
Oh, okay, so you were on top of it.
Of course. I'm a professional.
All right.
But we're looking at the final stat line. The the first thing that sticks out to me is how many more touches TOF got overall.
Yeah.
104 touches to 68 for the Steel Ball Runners. Cap percentage is, the conversion rate is pretty much equal.
Yeah, I mean,
TOF
slightly better for SBR, but
yeah, but I mean, in terms of offensive might, there wasn't a whole lot of difference to be made here. Frag power was, they had 50 frags over the Steel Ball Runners. KD, of course, is a little higher, but I mean, look at that spread. The spread is very tight.
Yeah. I think if you're going to look at what the difference is because you had two very potent fragging teams, offense was going to be hard to come by. I thought SBR played fantastic defensively, which made it very hard for Dastin. And I think the reason why TOF won, if you look at touches and frags, and there's going to be a correlation there. It's invisible. You can't see it, but they were powering, essentially TOF was powering at SBR's base more, and they were getting touches. Now, they weren't getting high quality touches because they only had a 6.5% cap rate. But you know what? If you're practically doubling the amount of touches of the enemy team, which they were very close to doing, by the way, it just stands to reason that sooner or later you're going to get one or two out. And look, you know what separated? This was a round that was separated by 4 flags. 4.
Yeah,
an average of 1.
that's
So that's where that matters. Those touches did end up mattering because as a defender, it doesn't matter how good you are defensively. If they're doubling the amount of touches you get sooner or later, you're going to get something that happens that's just bad luck. You're going to drop a shot. You're going to miss a shot. You're going to get a bad spawn. And that's what happens in these very close matches when you get two powerhouse fragging teams like that. And that was ultimately the difference. I like these type of matches. Some people don't like to watch them. They consider them boring. I loved what I saw. But yeah, I mean, really, that was the difference, was the fragging power. Look, I mean, 668 to 616 is not complete and utter domination, but there's a clear pattern of control. And you saw that manifest itself in the form of extra touches to the point where they almost doubled them in touches. And like I said, as I've been saying, that was the difference.
And what's interesting to me, there's only a discrepancy of 50 between the two teams in terms of frags, but TOF put an extra like 10 grand of damage on the board.
Yeah.
So they were a lot more accurate with their shots. I guess overall you could summarize. But all 4 rounds went to 10 minutes. There were no rounds that went to the 5 flag limit capture point.
Well, and I said at the beginning of the cast that TOF was the best defensive team in the league, and you kind of saw why. And that's through the power of fragging. And look, man, I cannot emphasize this enough. In round 4, Dastin had 2 huge returns on the flag that if he didn't make those, we're in round 5 right now. So despite the fact that there's these differences in touches and these differences in frags, this could have gone the other way very quickly. But that's not going to be the tendency when you lose by about 50 frags and then you're almost doubled in flags. I mean, 104 to 68 isn't almost, to me, that's almost doubled, but tomato, whether you consider that or not, that is a very significant difference in touches. So,
but also conversely, you have SBR who with 120 defenses compared to 81. I mean, they were no slouch defensively either. This was a tale of 2 teams who came at each other, and TOF had a little bit more finesse, and they were able to squeeze out 1 flag over their opponents in each of the 3 final rounds on the board. So, I mean, that's how it happens.
Yeah, so for regular season stats, keep in mind, too, that they may be a little bit misleading for SBR because they didn't have Denzo for the first 2 games. So they transformed overnight, effectively, with trading Legion away, who Legion's a very good player in his own right, but he's no Denzo, not in terms of fragging power. And for whatever reason, Caution, Zakin, and Legion weren't working, and on paper that looked like an incredible team. But what you saw in this game was indicative of kind of what they were. They were a frag-heavy team that had to generate offense through fragging power. And it just so happened that TOF was slightly better at them than doing that.
Right. Well, that will round it out for the quarterfinals between SBR and TOF. TOF will move on to the semifinals, and SBR will be going goodbye for this time in the World Doom League. But those players are a very strong bunch. I mean, this season was one of the most contentious seasons in terms of skill. It came down to the final week of the regular season for a lot of teams to figure out if they were actually going to be in the playoffs or not. But we'll be back again tonight with the showdown between the Superchargers and the Boomstick Warriors, and that is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, about an hour and a half from now if you're listening to the live broadcast. But if you miss part of this broadcast or even any of the playoff games that we're going to be streaming, they'll be up on the World Doom League YouTube. That is now in the chat. There'll be that middle link there, and you can look at the schedule for upcoming games on the doomleague.org/schedule link there as well. But Jamie, will you be joining me in about an hour and a half?
I will be, so I look forward to that. That should be a fun one too.
That should be a fun one. We're going to be watching the next quarterfinal match here shortly, but we'll play you off with the World Doom League theme. Thanks for joining me for this one, Jamie, and we'll see you again shortly.
Yes, indeed. Till then.
And thank you, everybody, for all the support as well, for all the follows, subs, everything. That goes towards the World Doom League coffers and towards furthering support of the stream as well. But we'll be seeing you here shortly. And have an excellent evening if you got to leave us now, but we'll be playing you out with the World Doom League theme. See you soon.